We have some huge news to go over today, folks. As MLB insider Jeff Passan has just came out and dropped a massive Jays trade report. We're going to break down exactly what that report is and discuss what it means going forward, as we are now just a few weeks away from the trade deadline. Talks are really starting to pick up, and we have a new update from the most notable reporter in the business in Jeff Passan. But not only that, we have a couple of other reports from a variety of reporters across the MLB. The Jays are going to be active, and some very interesting details in those reports. But not only that, ladies and gentlemen, we have some big updates ahead of tonight's game against the Athletics, their final series ahead of a much-needed All-Star break for this team. But folks, before we get into all this information today, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Your guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable. It means the world to me, so thank you guys for that. We are on the road to 20,000 subscribers, and of course, a smaller goal of 19K. Folks, let's dive right into it. The Jays played tonight. They had a nice off day yesterday. Of course, they made a move, traded Will Robertson yesterday, night, or I guess the day before yesterday night into yesterday afternoon. But Jeff Passan has come out, and this is the time of year where a lot of reports are dropping. Now, we have one from Bob Nightingale to dive into. We have one from a variety of reporters. But Jeff Passan, let's start with this, and we also have an article that dropped from Jeff Passan. Now, he was on the Blair and Barker show a couple days ago. And of course, this is from July 8th, but I want to dive into it for a specific reason because he also dropped a brand new report yesterday night into this morning. You could see Mitch Keller starting a postseason game. If they were to get Mitch Keller and David Bednar, it would start with Arjun Nimmala. And this was a pretty big headline because we're all talking about, Jeff Passan, when he speaks, everyone listens, right? He's the most notable reporter across the business. And he keeps on linking, and the Jays have been linked to Mitch Keller for a while. He keeps on linking Mitch Keller to the Toronto Blue Jays. And it started with this tidbit a few days ago on Blair and Barker show. And then he dropped this article last night, which is very interesting. It was about the Toronto Blue Jays, their weakness, starting pitching, their best match. Once again, he links Mitch Keller of the Pittsburgh Pirates, of course, to the Toronto Blue Jays. Adding Keller solves multiple problems at once. The 29-year-old is producing the best season of his career. The Blue Jays need rotation help, and a deal for Keller could try to get David Bednar, Dennis Santana, or Caleb Ferguson from the Pirates to complement an already good bullpen, riding breakouts from Braden Fisher and Brendan Little. So let's start with this. You look back to a few days ago, Jeff Passan, he hints at the fact of, maybe a Mitch Keller and David Bednar. If you're unfamiliar, David Bednar, long time rumored Blue Jay to go there, is a very good to elite reliever. He's had up and down seasons. And then an article drops from Jeff Passan himself, once again linking Mitch Keller to the Jays. And it seems at this point now that the Jays, clearly he knows something. And of course, this is the type of move that you would expect from Ross Atkins, a young, controllable starter, someone you can extend for the long term, is under contract for a couple more seasons, I believe. He's a perfect fit. However, here is where the things get a little bit interesting. He, in my mind at least, is not a top of the rotation guy. He fits in with what they already have, which is consistent pitching from guys like Chris Bassett, Kevin Gausman, all these different guys. They need an ace. And if you're giving up what he considers to be Arjun Nimmala here, I don't know if I love that deal. Now, you're getting a great bullpen arm back in David Bednar, who we'll dive into, but he basically goes on to say that Keller remains under contract for 3 more years. So again, this is a controllable arm. We talked with Keegan Matheson on the show a few weeks ago about, and a few months ago even, about how they would probably look at a trade specifically regarding a similar structure to José Berríos. That's what Mitch Keller is. Pittsburgh could hold on to Keller and march into 2026 with a very good rotation, but the Pirates desperately need bats, and while Toronto's farm system is not teaming with them, the Blue Jays can cobble together enough to make a deal worth Pittsburgh's while. He is speaking in definitives here. I feel like he knows something, like that Ross Atkins has probably called Pittsburgh GM and kind of trying to get a deal done for Mitch Keller and David Bednar, because that's twice now he's linked David Bednar to the Jays. I'm seeing a lot of outrage about it. Personally, I don't think a Arjun Nimmala for Mitch Keller and David Bednar swap is in the team's best interest. That being said, folks, I'm seeing a lot of people online saying they shouldn't do it. It is when you have a chance to win the division, when you have a chance to win a playoff series, it's their last year of under contract. Mark Shapiro, John Schneider, Ross Atkins, some of the players, Chris Bassett, they need to go for it. They have the 8th overall pick in the draft, and it seems like they're going to be, going for, there's a lot of, in drafts in general, right? There's a lot of shortstops that become, and it seems like the Jays are locking in on a shortstop once again in this year's draft. But regardless of that, there's a lot of shortstops that come up, like Arjun Nimmala, pick 20th. If they think they can replace Arjun Nimmala for someone who's more ready for the MLB, which is something that is very possible because Nimmala is years out, whereas Trey Savage is like a year away, they might want to do that for a guy who what you're going to get with Mitch Keller, solid, piece to this team. You pair this with this report here from Bob Nightingale, and he said usually those guys are more valuable in the offseason. You get some chips back, but not a bona fide top 3 starter. He's referring to, in this case, the 4A guys like Alan Roden, guys like Joey Loperfido. He's saying you can get more value in the offseason for them. It seems like if the Jays want to make a big move here, they're going to have to give up some, of their top talent. You can see this here. The drop off after Arjun Amala and Trey Savage is significant. They'd be mortgaging a lot of their future for now. Of course, talking about their options. There's a lot of smoke surrounding Arjun Amala and Trey Savage. And the reason is this team is in a unique spot to where they need to go out and get an arm. It's very obvious. A bat, is a secondary option right now. They need to go out and get an arm. They probably will need to give up one of the two. And if they think their top prospect, Arjun Amala, this is his peak value, you're not going to get a better, return package for him than now. He's still years away. He's extremely young. And you can replace him in the draft with your 8th overall pick. There's something to be said about making a deal. Do I think Mitch Keller's the guy you should do it for? No, I'm thinking Arjun Amala for a guy like Jacob deGrom and someone who has even a Joe Ryan type. Like you could argue a Joe Ryan obviously for Arjun Amala and Trey Savage, something crazy like that. I don't think the Jays want to get rid of Trey Savage because he's a year away. Like he can help them next year in this little core era, right? Arjun Amala's a while away. You have Jimenez under contract. You have Bo Bichette, who is probably going to extend, but might not regardless of that. Like things are lining up to be a big deal here. And let me know down below what your thoughts are. Now let's dive into some of the stats here. David Bednar, unbelievable year. He's been an elite reliever in this league for a while. 2024 was a bit of a blip. 2.74 ERA. You have to consider this as well. Getting an elite reliever on his own with high velocity is something that this team needs. You're getting an elite reliever and a starting pitcher in one. Is Mitch Keller elite? No. Is he very solid? Yes. And would he help this team? Absolutely, right? That's where the thing becomes interesting. You think about how many years away. They're obviously going to calculate, okay, can we actually win the World Series this year? Baseball's crazy. The team is elite. We saw the Yankees come back from 5-0 against the atrocious Mariners now to inch closer to the Jays in the AL East. And also, I guess, for the Mariners side, inch further away from the wildcard spot. Mitch Keller, 3.58 ERA. You're buying Mitch Keller at his top value, and his peripherals aren't great. That's where it becomes weird, right? This would be a move not just for this season, though, but for beyond. So let me know down below what your thoughts are, because Jeff Passan is 100% pushing the propaganda of Mitch Keller to the Toronto Blue Jays. There's no doubt about it. It is what's happening. And it seems like an Arjun Amala trade is actually becoming more likely by the day. And the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Like this is their chance now this year based on their hot streak. They need to add arms. They're not going to come cheap. You look at some of the 4A guys. Yes, you can get some decent pieces back, but none of the top guys. I would trade Arjun Amala and probably even Trey Savage, depending, for a guy like Joe Ryan. Like, obviously, then you're throwing, maybe not both, but then you're throwing your farm back away. Joe Ryan's an elite starter that I think can be a front line guy. Mitch Keller, I don't think is a front line guy, but would help this team immensely anyways. We'll see what Ross Atkins decides to do, but folks, Jeff Passan is locking in here, and a lot of reports coming out. It's going to be a crazy deadline because the Jays need to buy. They're going to buy, and reports are coming out. They're going to buy big. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. One quick note before I wrap up. Quick update. Ahead of tonight's game, you have Scherzer going up against Severino. Tomorrow, you have Kevin Gausman versus Jacob Lopez. And Sunday, José Berríos versus Jeffrey Springs. So, folks, they should win all three. And hopefully they do. Obviously, Severino's decent. It's going to be interesting to see how Max Scherzer kind of lines up tonight against, Luis Severino. It's a late game, I believe 10:10 p.m. Eastern. It's a late one. But at the end of the day, this is a huge game tonight. Hopefully they can take care of business and get a win for my birthday, because today is my birthday. If you made it this far, you guys have been unbelievable. It's my birthday. So thank you guys for your continued support. It truly means the world to me. Hopefully the Jays can keep their little hot streak going despite their loss there a couple days ago. Thank you guys for watching. You guys mean the world. We'll see you guys later. You guys are absolute peace. Cheers.